Let's get it, y'all. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? This is a new lady. I don't know her, but since we're on this type of time, I said this will be a good video. The collapse of U.S. tourism. Let's get it.
As someone who has been traveling internationally since I was 16 years old, it's been very surreal to see headlines recently about travel warnings and advisories for tourists who are coming to the United States. I can remember when I first went abroad in high school and I was headed for a senior class trip to Mexico, and my friends and I were all checking to see if Mexico was dangerous. We're checking the State Department travel advisories. My parents were warning me not to travel there, and this has been a continuous pattern throughout my life, especially as a female solo traveler in many cases, that people warn me against traveling to other countries. And I always had the perspective of, is it really that much more dangerous than living in the United States,
right,
which is a place that I was always warned, growing up in the 90s especially, seeing missing children on milk bottles and being...
See, all that was the mind control. They mind control the fuck out of people, out of American people. Don't go nowhere. Something's going to happen to you. And now look where we at. You know what I'm saying? Americans are fleeing. You know what I'm saying? We've been believing in the psyop all this time. Or if you go to another country, something's going to happen to you. But look all the shootings and school shootings we got going on over here, and the GMO foods and the gang stalking and all this police state going on. Some people are waking up realizing, hey man, maybe I'm safer if I travel and get the hell out of Babylon.
Warned that I could be abducted in a Walmart parking lot. I mean, and being warned that I could be, especially, seeing missing children on milk bottles, and being warned that I could be abducted in a Walmart parking lot. I mean, I had that fear growing up, and so I took my chances as a traveler, and I did find that many of the countries that I thought were dangerous actually weren't that way, or maybe that danger and violence would be more isolated to certain areas and situations rather than very widespread. And so, 20 years on, it's been quite surreal to see all of the travel warnings and advisories for people coming to the U.S., which is a place that I grew up and lived until I was in my late teens, early 20s.
I'm supposed to be here today.
Happening within the U.S. government right now, and it's kind of hard to follow all of the different things that are occurring. But from what I can tell, there are a few different reasons for why countries are warning their citizens not to travel to the United States. And it seems like the headline from the news stories is a bit different from the comments by the actual citizens of these countries who are going there. So I'll try to share both sides of the story with you. So one CNN story put most of the blame on tariffs that the Trump administration has enacted against various countries. And so from reading the comments on various YouTube videos, it looks like a lot of Canadians aren't just angry about the tariffs, but they also resent the suggestion that Canada could become the 51st state of the U.S. and also are now scared due to some of the stories that have come from the border of people being detained without explanation. So that has been pretty scary for them. A lot of people commenting here, a British person saying that he's not going on his trip because he doesn't think he can afford the cost of food and groceries here. There's reports that Canadian Airlines have canceled their flights to some U.S. destinations, and people in Australia saying that the tourism providers there are offering 40% discounts on travel to the U.S. to try to increase demand. So the numbers already this month look like double-digit declines in travelers to the U.S. from various countries, up to 23 to...
Oh, that's interesting. So nobody want to come to America right now? Except the immigrants, though. Why U.S. tourism sector is plummeting massively, not just from Canada, but from Mexico, Germany, UK, Spain, France, India. New update you need to know.
travelers to the US from various countries, up to 23 to 30% fewer travelers coming across the border from Canada, although the numbers might be higher than that. 23% fewer travelers from Mexico, nearly 20% fewer tourists coming over from Europe, and really the list goes on. There's a lot of numbers being thrown around as well as to what the economic impact on the United States could be, with some figures reaching $60 billion. It's gotten so bad that people are reaching $60 billion.
That's crazy, boy. That's a lot of money, man.
It's gotten so bad that people like Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, are actually coming out doing press conferences begging tourists to come to his state. I don't know if that's ever something that I've seen before. And what a lot of people are afraid of is that this could just be the tip of the iceberg, because a lot of the travel that was canceled in the first quarter of 2025 was booked back in 2024, because you want to book ahead, get lower airfares, make sure to secure your accommodations. And so it is possible that these numbers continue to plummet, especially through summer travel, as people don't just cancel the trips that they've already booked, but they're deciding to book to alternative destinations and spend their tourism dollars elsewhere. Countries who have officially issued travel warnings and advisories to the US include Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Mexico, and the UK. On top of that, it's not just tourism which is down incoming to the US, but it's also Americans who, increasing numbers, are wanting to leave the United States. Now, this is a trend that's been going on at least since the 1970s, but it is accelerating in recent years. And a new study came out that says as many as 42% of US citizens have thought about moving abroad or would like to move and are already planning their move. So that is pretty crazy numbers. I mean, almost half of the US population has been considering some type of move out of the US, and really the reasons run the gamut. We have people who want to move for cost of living reasons, people who believe that there are better work opportunities abroad, people who are looking to pay less taxes, and
especially if you're a digital nomad. If you're a digital nomad, you're making money offline, you can travel and at the same time make money, then, because I'm trying to tell you, if Gang Stalking Simulation was, if I was making big money, trust me, I wouldn't be in America right now. I'm letting you know that right now, I wouldn't be here. You better believe that. If I was making big money like the rest of the YouTubers are, and they traveling abroad, I would not be in America.
A lot of people who say that they are increasingly feeling like they're stuck in survival mode, and that the American dream is slipping farther and farther away. We've got 68% of Americans who say that
the American dream only existed for the working middle class. You know what I'm saying? That was years ago. The American dream has been died, because now, there is no more middle class. They're doing away with the middle class now. So now either you're super, super rich or you're just super poor. That's it. Look at that. What is that?
That these days they feel like they're surviving instead of thriving, and that same number of people who say that home ownership is no longer attainable for them. So I think the incoming tourism numbers being down is one problem, because that's directly impacting US citizens. On the flip side, we have the loss of general economic growth and tax revenue that is lost from Americans who end up leaving the United States, whether they renounce their citizenship or they live abroad and benefit from income tax credits. It's kind of a two-sided coin here, and I don't know how this is all going to end. About 4 in 10 Americans have either considered moving abroad or are planning to do so, and believe that as a result, they will achieve greater happiness. I know that's definitely the case with our clients, as we've seen a growing number of people reach out to me and my relocation company. I've been helping people move abroad since 2005, and never have I seen quite the quantity of people reaching out to get help with this. So I can say anecdotally, in 20 years of doing this, that this is the the most serious, the most urgent, and the most short term that we've seen people make these decisions to move abroad. But for others, it's been something that has been a long time coming. They've been thinking about doing it for 20 years or 8 years or the past few years, and they've just accelerated that plan. So if you would like to get help from my team and I on your international relocation, then you can apply at the link below or at travelingwithkristen.com/relocation, and we would be happy to talk with you. Even if you're thinking of planning 3, 4, 5 years in the future, there might be something that we can still do to help you now, so don't hesitate to reach out. Now, most of the people that I work with are either professionals or have families, or they're planning to retire abroad. But what's interesting about this study is that it says more Gen Z and millennials are also wanting to move abroad, potentially to get jobs abroad, to study abroad. It says here that up to 63% of Gen Z is considering moving, compared with 26% of boomers. And I work primarily with boomers and Gen Xers. It says 35% of Gen Xers are thinking of moving abroad, and more than half of millennials are moving abroad. I'm a millennial myself, and I've lived abroad quite a few times. The top 3 reasons that people want to move abroad right now include finding a lower cost of living, dissatisfaction with the current political leadership, and the desire for a higher and better quality of life. And, can't really blame people for wanting to save money and live better and have less drama when it comes to the political situation, although fewer and fewer countries are immune to that these days. It also says that
I just noticed her pillows back there. They like shaped like a map, like the countries and shit. That's crazy.
Many minority groups are increasingly fearing for their rights, including the LGBTQIA community, women, African Americans, people of color, and people want to go everywhere. So the top 10 countries include Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, France, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Spain, Germany, and New Zealand. And then ironically, Canada is at the top of the list when it comes to boycotting U.S. goods and travel. So here we have a bit of a reverse migration coming here, where Canadians don't want to visit the U.S. for holiday and Americans want to move to Canada. Canada is not the easiest country to migrate to unless you are going there with a work permit, but the other countries offer some different opportunities. The UK and New Zealand are also pretty tight when it comes to just moving abroad for quality of life and cost of living. These aren't typically valid reasons to be able to get a visa in another country, so it really depends on where you're going, if you're going to retire, if you're going to work, and then assessing what are the actual options on paper that will allow you to move there. Another concern that I myself have, and also a lot of my clients, YouTube subscribers, people contacting me, is what will the effects be on the U.S. passport? Will this change of tourists coming into the U.S. also have an effect on U.S. tourists who want to travel elsewhere? And for a long time, I thought we wouldn't see any changes here because the U.S. economy is so strong and American travelers make up a large part of the tourists around the world. But now I'm not so sure. If countries are coming forward to issue warnings against traveling to the U.S., maybe they will start, filtering U.S. tourists more when we go there. And so that's definitely a concern of mine. And if you'd like to know about any changes here, because the U.S. economy is so strong and American travelers make up a large part.
I don't know why she said the U.S. economy is strong. We already know how weak the dollar is. The U.S. remains the world's most powerful travel and tourist market. You know what I'm saying? But, of course, we got a lot of immigration going on. But most of them people that's coming over here as far as immigrants and stuff, they coming straight from the slums. I'm talking about dirt poor. So they'll take anything. And then they coming over here. There's another video I want to do, too. I'm going to do it later. But it's showing you how these other migrants is coming over here, and they're being funded by the beast, and they're using old hotels, right? And they're housing these migrants or immigrants in these old hotels, and they're giving them cars, subsidies, all the food stamps, everything, and they out there gang stalking. So it seems like I said, if in order for you to be like a migrant or immigrant or whatever to come over here in America, you're gonna have to be down with the police state. If you're down with the police state, you can stay here. You know what I'm saying? Cause that's what he want now. That's what America is looking for. America is looking for people that's gonna be down with the get down, with the gang stalking, the police state. Cause that's the only thing. That's the only thing popping right now. As you can see, the workforce is jacked up. You know what I mean? So let me know what y'all think about this, man. You know what I'm saying? The collapse of U.S. tourism and why Americans are fleeing. You know, some people ain't gonna look. I'm keeping it real with you. If I had the money, I would be gone. Period. No questions asked. I'll be out of here. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just me. You know, I know some of y'all scared to leave. You don't want to stay right in your damn hood for the rest of your life. That's on you. That's on you. But if I had the money, I would be gone. Holla back, y'all. We out.